In this episode of Fictional Hangover, we talk about a surprise knife marriage, soapbox moments in a tale of two pizza toppings, slapping a skanky panther, and Eric's butt. In our discussion of Dead and Gone by Charlaine Harris. Eric's butt.
Eric's butt.
Oh. Butt. Squeeze it. Hey everybody, welcome to Fictional Hangover, a podcast about young adult and new adult books, series, authors, and voice actors that is full of spoilers. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Claire, and today we're going to discuss Dead and Gone by Charlaine Harris.
Standard disclaimer. If you haven't read this book, please remember that Fictional Hangover is all about spoilers. If you haven't read or listened and don't want to be spoiled, stop listening to us and go read or listen to the book. Then come back. If you haven't done this but want to pretend that you have, or if you don't care about spoilers, or if you just like the show so much that you don't care about any of that, then listen up.
I like the eye rolling back in your head there.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, all the way back. No one is surprised.
Ooh. There's a lot happens in this book.
So,
I think we might have to just, do a dive straight in.
Yes! So much happens. But I do have background info again for this one.
Yes, please.
And I have to share it because it's important. So there's an interview with on dragoncon.org. It's an interview at DragonCon just before this book comes out. And they ask Charlaine, your current home state of Arkansas is not generally known as a hotbed of liberal thinking. And I went, yes, I don't even need to read the rest of this. Just take it, copy, and paste. Do you ever get negative feedback locally or otherwise due to the titillating and or horrific content of your books?
Oh.
And Charlaine responds, it's been interesting. After True Blood debuted, I expected a lot of backlash. But that didn't happen. For two reasons. One, some of the more sensational scenes in the series weren't in the books. Two, people here are mostly too polite to upbraid me publicly, and they're proud of my achievements. Isn't that sweet? They're too polite to talk badly about her to her face.
I bet she she had so many, oh, bless your hearts.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. She said, the local people who read my books simply dodge the Sookie novels and read the others, which are less everything. So they just skip Sookie altogether, which is not a good idea because Sookie's great.
That is true. That is true. The others don't have as many boobs in.
They probably don't have nearly as many nipples. You're probably right.
Or Eric Northman butts.
Right. Oh, speaking of nipple count, there are no additional nipples in this novel.
I feel like we need to have a klaxon for that. A-woo, a-woo. Ha-ha. Tweak, tweak. Dang.
Yeah.
No, I bet she's had a lot of bless your heart.
Oh, I'm sure. You know...
But I would also like to point out, this was published a while ago. People's attitudes to public upbraiding now, completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Moving swiftly on.
Oh.
Like your t-shirt.
Hey, yeah. Now everything's wrong. Okay. So, do you have any initial thoughts? Or, we're in book 9 and there aren't any initial thoughts anymore because we're on book 9? Because that's honestly how I'm feeling.
Yeah, precisely that. It's more of a, ooh, do we see Eric's butt this one?
Yeah. Ooh, are there nipples?
Yes, I'm more concerned about Eric's butt and nipples.
Yes.
Than pretty much anything else.
I really, really hope that I just haven't set myself up for failure in the rest of the books with the nipples, because there wasn't nipples in this one.
No, but I also think we need to... I can't remember what the count's at, but I think we need to try and set a lofty goal. Not too lofty, but, you know, set a smart target for the amount of nipples that we would like to encounter.
Yeah. But don't worry, I'll be sure to let everyone know how many nipples there are throughout the rest of the series.
You're performing a public service.
I am.
Thank you.
Yes. I feel like I need an extra... I do need to have a nipple count sound effect. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
The nipple count is... Hold hand out. Bing. Graphic. Bing!
I'm going to work on that. But there aren't any nipples. No. There aren't any nipples in this one, so I don't have to worry about it for this episode. Anyway... Before Sookie heads to work, she watches a few minutes of a new vampire makeover show on TV with Amelia. Is that important? No. But it sounds delightful, and we should all want to watch it. Oh, it's such a good fashion show. I really want to watch it. And the vampire is so pissed, and she rips off somebody's jaw, and they're like, oh, well, he'll be fine in a little bit. Don't worry about it. Anyway... Sookie asks if Amelia is going out with Dawson that night. Yes, they're going to come by Merlotte's. And she also asks if she stopped dating Pam. And also yes, but we're sad about that. Then Sookie plucks from Amelia's head that tonight is the night. No, it's not a proposal from Dawson or anything like that. But it is the night that the Wares and Shifters are going to reveal themselves to the world.
How did she not already know that?
I don't know, man.
TVs are on around Merlotte's, and when a special bulletin breaks in, either sports or whatever else is always on in a bar, go sports, Sam and Dawson prepare themselves as the cute, dainty representative from Alcie's werewolf pack transforms live on TV. Sam and Dawson shift too.
Ooh.
Bill is also in the bar, along with Clancy, another of Eric's cohort, and they stand by ready to stop anything bad from happening after the reveal. But luckily, nothing too terrible happens. Arlene does spew hatred and quit, but really, is she a loss?
No, get out. Fuck off, Arlene. No. You are done.
Bye.
Ugh.
Bye-bye. Sam goofily hides his nose and whimpers after she leaves, which gets a laugh and breaks the tension. After the excitement dies down and Sam and Dawson shift back, however, Sam gets a call from his stepdad. He shot Sam's mom after she shifted, and now she's headed to the hospital. Sam leaves the bar in Sookie's hands. Oh my goodness.
Yikes. Imagine having to make that phone call.
No, don't like it. Don't like it.
No. Sookie goes home that night. She sees she has a phone message, but decides to go to bed and call whoever that was back later. The next day, and her first day up as acting manager, Sookie calls a few former barmaids to replace Arlene and ends up having to ask Tanya to help. After Amelia and Octavia bewitched her to stop bothering Sookie, she actually hasn't been too bad and is happy to help out. While at Merlotte's, Eric's day man, Bobby, comes in with a velvet-wrapped bundle and instructs Sookie to give it to Eric that night at Fantasia. She takes it without question and leaves for the vampire bar after her shift at Merlotte's.
Victor, King Felipe's second-in-command, is in Eric's office when Sookie arrives. She passed by Sam on her way in, who was shocked that she didn't opened the package and told her to hand it to Eric in a meaningful way. So she awkwardly presents it to him. It's the knife from the wedding ceremony Eric performed in Rhodes at the Vampire Summit. And now, with this handing over of the knife, Suki and Eric are apparently engaged or married or something equally important to vampires. Victor was there to discuss a request that Quinn made to see Suki. But now that Suki is whatever she is to Eric, the request is denied. Suki is pretty pissed that she accidentally married to Eric, but she can't help feeling peaceful and loving to him. Most likely, though, it's because of their blood bond.
Is it, though?
It's his fine ass and his many nipples.
The next day, bright and early, 2 FBI agents, Weiss and Latesta, arrive at Suki's house. They are interested in what she and Barry the Bellboy did after the explosion at the Pyramid of Giza. But Suki pretends she doesn't know Barry and that she's just good at finding things. Sure, Suki. Yeah. Luckily, before the agents can pester Suki too much about her abilities, which they believe to be psychic abilities, there's a phone call from Merlotte's. Suki's got to get there right away, and the FBI agents had better go too. Someone's been crucified in the parking lot.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh. Suki arrives on scene and is distraught to see that the crucifixion victim is her unfaithful sister-in-law Crystal, who is partially panthered. Suki calls Sam to let him know, and he says his mom is doing better and will fully recover, so he'll head back soon. Everyone around either thinks that Crystal was murdered because she was a panther, or they think Jason is responsible, and some don't even blame him because of how shitty she was. But Suki knows he didn't do it. He wouldn't hurt Crystal. And more importantly, he wouldn't hurt his unborn child.
Suki has to stay at Merlotte's during the investigation. She suggests they call Calvin because he needs to know, and also because he can help. While the investigation is happening, Suki reads newspapers she's had in her car and learns that not everyone is happy about the shifters and wares being out because they feel betrayed. Jason shows up a little bit later and says he didn't do it, and then Calvin comes out, but he can't get a good sniff on who killed Crystal.
Oh. Back at the house, Suki talks to Octavia. She's feeling really bad about still being at Suki's house and taking advantage of her generosity. She offers to do an ectoplasmic reconstruction to find out who killed Crystal, but the parking lot of Merlotte's would be a lot of ground to cover, and that might not even be where she died, so it probably wouldn't work anyway. Merlotte's is still closed, and Suki really wants to talk to someone about her terrible day, so she goes to see Eric at Fantasia. She plans to tell him off about the surprise knife wedding. Fine. But instead, they have a good long chat about how Eric became a vampire and about his wife and children. It's a very meaningful story, and it's a surprise that Eric shared that with Suki. They also talk about her not wanting to work for the FBI because she just wants to be her own person and do her own things.
Reasonable.
That was a great scene.
It is. It's so good. The next day, Andy Belfleur calls and tells Suki she can open Merlotte's back up, but luckily Sam makes it back in time to do that, so Suki gets to go home. Before she leaves, though, she tells Sam that she's surprise knife married to Eric, thinking it'll be kind of funny, but he gets mad at her for being stupid. Seriously, though, how is she supposed to know that giving Eric a knife would mean that they're vampire married?
I mean, to be fair, you're in the kitchen and you're just making a meal. Can you press the bread knife, please, so I can cut my sandwich? And all of a sudden you're married.
Yeah. Ha-ha! Married!
Surprise!
Suki leaves in a huff and goes to see Tara. Tara makes Suki feel better about her situation with Eric. After all, he's And we've made this point before several times. He's never done anything to hurt her and has always taken care of her, and he's helped her when she needed it. That makes Sookie feel much better, and so does the fact that Tara reveals she is pregnant. At home, an old man named Lewis calls for Octavia. After their phone call, Octavia is very emotional and lets Sookie and Amelia know that Lewis is her old flame, who she couldn't find after Katrina.
Oh. At work later, Sam is still a little angry about the knife marriage. And he gets even more upset because Eric's dear man Bobby is there to deliver an envelope to Sookie from Eric, but he obviously doesn't like her or having to do her bidding. Sam thinks it's bad for Sookie to have another person on her list that doesn't like her. Big deal!
Nobody likes her! Shock!
Well, that's not necessarily true. Niall is there and he likes her quite a bit. They have a chat about the FBI agents who are also there at the bar and about Crystal's death. He says he'll help figure out what happened to her, but that he's been preoccupied with something else that's been going on. He leaves Merlotte's with a warning to Sookie that if she should encounter any fairies other than himself, Claudine or Claude, she should call him immediately. Oh, cryptic warnings!
Oh,
yay!
Don't bother explaining it, though.
It's great.
After Niall leaves, Weiss and Latesta talk to Sookie about him a little, but then Sookie has to get back to work. Later, she reads their minds and discovers that Weiss thinks that Sookie has a gift, and Latesta really thinks he'd be doing her a great service if he were to get her out of this little backwater town, and that if she really could do what he thinks she can, his career would skyrocket. What would that be like for Sookie, though? Since she's telepathic and not psychic, it would certainly be difficult for her to be in the right place at the right time to overhear someone thinking about whatever evil deed the FBI is interested in them for. There probably would be some good that she could do in the world, but she really doesn't want to leave Bonton.
That's fair. When Sookie gets home later, there's another car outside. It's Lewis, and he's come to take Octavia home to New Orleans with him. Sookie and Amelia are excited that they'll have the house to themselves again and have a nice chat about Octavia and her man, who is definitely a warlock or something, living their best lives down in New Orleans. They will live it up.
They will. They really will.
As she goes to bed, Sookie remembers the envelope that Bobby brought to her at Merlotte's, so she gets it out and opens it up. Inside, she's pleasantly surprised to find a very saucy photograph of Eric. It's nearly the exact picture he used for his Mr. January pose from the Fantasia calendar they put out, but he's very much more naked, which Sookie quite enjoys. Now, I put this to you. Is this not an addition to the nipple count?
It is an unnamed addition to the nipple count because she did not specifically say the word nipples. I know. Yeah.
It's got to be very to the letter of the law in the nipple count.
It's got to be the word nipple.
It's got to be.
That's the rule.
Fine.
The next morning, Andy Belfleur and the FBI agents come to see Sookie. They've discovered Crystal's time of death and, for some reason, ask her questions about Dawson, who didn't have anything to do with it. Talk then shifts to him being a werewolf and how long Sookie has known of the existence of were-creatures. She tells Andy that he's known about them too, ever since that time back in Dead as a Doornail when they were searching for that person who kept shooting random people, and they made Sookie pretend to have had sex with Dawson because he was in werewolf form, and then he got shot, and then he turned back into a naked man. Does everyone remember that? Remember that?
Intimately. There were nipples.
There were nipples involved. They talk about the idea that Crystal's death was a hate crime, and Sookie says she'll listen in at the bar and will let them know if she hears anything new.
After Andy and the FBI leave, Suki has her house to herself for the first time in a long time. She puts on a bikini even though it's January and sits out in the sun for a bit. But then Diantha pops up. She tells Suki that Mr. Catalites wants to warn her about other fairies and how they killed her grandfather, Finton, and that she needs to be wary, which is pretty much the same advice Niall gave her, so she's feeling extra nervous now. After Diantha leaves, Suki decides to call Claude and Claudine to get more information. They meet for lunch at the mall, Claudine putting away an exceptional amount of Chick-fil-A, and Suki learns a little bit more about her extended fairy family.
Not many of the other fairies like humans as much as Niall does. Another member of the fairy royal family, Brendon, believes that any humans with fairy blood are taking magic away from actual fairies and that they should all be killed. Some fairies believe as Niall does, and some believe as Brendon does. So Suki should avoid all fairies she doesn't know, especially Dermot, her grandfather Finton's twin brother, who happens to look exactly like Jason.
Ooh.
Dermot doesn't like humans, and he has always defied Niall, which kind of explains why Niall doesn't like him very much, and also why he doesn't like Jason either.
Wow, judgy.
Yeah.
At home later, Suki decides to do some gardening, so she goes to the old tool shed that's been in her family for ages. She gets the old trowel and gets to work weeding. Someone she doesn't know walks up behind her and says that he'll enjoy killing her for his lord. So she turns around and trowels him. The trowel is made of iron, so the fairy dies almost instantly. Suki calls Niall, and he and Claude and Claudine's dad Dylan show up. They praise Suki for killing the fairy called Murray and suggest that she just hose his remains away and then leave. Them fairies make good compost.
You know, I really wish that someone could just explain a tiny bit more about what's going on to Suki. But they're like, nah.
Also, why aren't they protecting her a little bit more?
They got other things to worry about. So after this, as if her day hasn't been bad enough, Quinn shows up, even though Eric denied his request to meet with Suki and, even be in the same area. He yells at Suki about how Eric will never give up Fantasia for her, and Bill will never give up his vampire phone book, and Sam will never give up his bar, and that basically no one will ever love her, and it's not fair that she doesn't expect any of them to give anything up for her, but he has to.
Wow, asshole.
She gets mad, and then Bill shows up, and he and Quinn fight with Suki in the middle. She gets knocked out and wakes up in bed later with Eric. Ooh la la.
That's not a bad end to the day. Eric asks Suki if she loves Quinn, or maybe he meant Bill.
Ooh.
But either way, no. She wishes she could have had something with Quinn, but then that went south, and now Eric is the only guy she's interested in.
Damn right.
She can't really tell if it's the blood bond or what, but she's not going to like anyone else. So they have sex. Lots and lots of sex. Lots and lots of fantastic sex.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
In between multiple bangs, they have meaningful and silly conversations, and then Suki tells Eric about the other fairies and that she killed one. He gets worried and offers to let Suki stay with him in his house, which he has never offered to anyone but Pam before.
Whoa.
Whoa.
That's huge.
Whoa. She surprises Eric by telling him that she doesn't want to be a kept woman, but appreciates his concern. He leaves, and Suki notices Bill standing outside watching as Eric flies away, but she's not mad at him, surprisingly.
Yeah. She's okay with it?
I mean, Okay. You did intercede with Quinn.
The next day, Jason is outside Sookie's house. He really wants her to find out what happened with Crystal, and he also tells her that he's lonely without his BFF Hoyt, who is now engaged to Holly and not hanging around with Jason so much. Jason's got a new friend, though, Mel, who is also a panther, but who has left Hotshot. So at least he's still got a friend, but everything would really be better if Sookie could figure out who killed his wife.
Oh my God, stop putting all this pressure on your sister.
Yeah. I mean, you don't try. You don't help. You just make Sookie do it.
Lazy. After Jason leaves, Sookie checks her messages and finds that Arlene has called, and so has Sam. Arlene's message is that she wants to be friendly with Sookie again. Sam's message is work-related, so she calls Sam first, and he says that Arlene called him and wants to come back to work. But he's not sure he should let her, and he wants Sookie's advice. They decide no, she's not worth it, and we agree. Even if she changed her mind about being so terrible about everyone who's not human and a member of the Fellowship of the Sun, she's still awful.
She's just awful. She's terrible.
She's a garbage person. Sookie decides to call Arlene back next and see if they can mend their friendship, at least a little bit. I would argue they never had a friendship.
Yeah, Sookie, you were just a free babysitter.
Yeah.
And a maid.
General dog spotting.
Arlene tells Sookie to come by her place in a little bit, but Sookie gets a weird feeling and decides to go over immediately, but parks next door to investigate. Good thing! Arlene has 2 Fellowship of the Sun guys at her house who plan to crucify Sookie. Oh, shit. Did they kill Crystal? No. But they were inspired by her murder?
Creeps.
Sookie calls Andy Belfler, who's with the FBI agents, and are now on their way over. After Arlene sends her kids away with a friend, Sookie approaches and reveals she knows what they are planning to do. Then Andy and the FBI show up and they have a gunfight. One of the agents is not mortally shot, and one of the crucifiers is shot and killed. Andy takes them away.
Sookie gets a phone call later when she's thinking about how terrible Arlene is and what's going to happen to her kids. Remy Savoy, her ex-cousin-in-law, has called to see if Sookie can help him with Hunter, her telepathic nephew. She doesn't want to drag them into any of the terrible things that are currently happening in her life, so she offers to get back in touch with him later. The next time Sookie's at Merlotte's, she spends the day trying to figure out who killed Crystal, but doesn't come up with anything. Then she is invited to the movies by Amelia and Dawson. Dawson has a buddy, Drake, who looks remarkably like Jason, and he wants to get to know Sookie. Amelia has told him lots of stuff about her already, which is terrible because Drake is obviously damaged, and now he knows pretty much everything about Sookie.
Great! That is great.
This is wonderful news.
That is great.
Fantastic.
Sookie decides to call in her favor with King Felipe and gets Eric to ask for a bodyguard. He ends up sending Bubba.
Yay!
Yay! And that's better than nothing. Alcide also gets in contact with Sookie and offers Dawson, which is good because he's already dating Amelia and so he's already around. The next day, however, Sookie wakes to Dawson being violently ill in the bathroom. Someone claiming to be Bill's new girlfriend, aka definitely an evil fairy, tricked him into drinking vampire blood, but instead of him going rage crazy and killing everyone, Dawson was just poisoned instead. Sookie convinces him to go home and says she'll call Jason for daytime protection instead.
Jason and Mel come over and tell Sookie that a crazy guy that looked just like Jason came over to his house, threw Mel against the wall, told Jason that he just did him a favour, and then left. Oh, shit.
What?
What?
It's Dermot.
It's gotta be Dermot.
Shit.
Suki then tells Jason everything about their family and the fairies and how Niall is good and Dermot is bad and he's working for a guy who's even worse. Jason and Mel go back to Jason's to get a gun, and when Suki comes to get Jason later, she has a bad feeling. Why would Dermot throw Mel across the room? Oh. Suki calls Calvin for backup.
Oh. At Jason's, he and Mel are in the backyard, shooting guns. Suki questions Mel about why Dermot threw him across the room, and then Jason holds him down while Suki looks inside his head. I am so glad that Jason picked up on this and, saw the meaningful looks that Suki was giving him and was like, oh, yeah, okay, shit.
Yeah.
Really glad that he caught on to that. So what comes out from Mel is not good.
Nope.
Mel is in love with Jason, and he got kicked out of Hotshot for being unable to procreate because he's gay. While he was at Jason's alone a few days ago, Crystal came by, taunting him. She told him he had to have sex with her so he could go back to Hotshot and live with Jason, but then she called him a pussy and was really gross about Mel being turned on by Jason's baby in her belly. Mel slapped her, thought he killed her, and left for a second. But then when he came back, Crystal was gone. Calvin and a couple other Panthers arrive and hear this confession, and even though Mel didn't actually kill Crystal, they tear him to shreds anyway.
What the hell?
And he's just okay with it?
What the hell?
He's like, yeah, I've just confessed. You didn't do anything. You slapped a bitch.
You slapped a bitch, exactly. And we both know sometimes you gotta slap a bitch.
Sometimes a bitch needs a slap.
Exactly. Well, Suki goes to work after this with plans to meet up with Amelia at Dawson's after she gets off. She manages to make it through the day even though she's a little unfocused, and then heads home. Oops. She was supposed to go to Dawson's. So she turns around and heads that way, nearly an hour late. When she arrives, Amelia's car isn't there, and it seems that no one is inside. She calls Amelia, no answer. She calls Dawson, no answer. Panicked, Suki calls Bill, who immediately comes to her aid. While Bill investigates the inside of Dawson's place, Amelia calls back. She's perfectly fine, but she went home after Suki never showed. Then Bill comes out. There's a lot of blood inside, and it seems that Dawson has been taken somewhere against his will.
Oh.
They plan to go back to Suki's and decide what to do from there. Suki gets home a few minutes before Bill arrives, but as she's walking to her door, she hears someone mumble something, and then she's knocked out. She's not having a good day.
No,
she's having a capital D day.
Yeah. Suki wakes up in a dilapidated old house with two fairies torturing her. Luckily, we're not going to mention all of the torture that happens, but it was serious.
Extensive.
Brendan told them they could do whatever they wanted with her as long as they didn't kill her, and their plan became to torture her long enough for Niall to come to her aid and call off the fairy war to save her. Then Brendan would be able to close off all the portals into fairy since he hates humans so much, and then humans and fairies would be forever separated. The two violently torture Suki until she's ready to die. But then Bill and Niall show up. Niall decapitates one of the fairies, and Bill bites the other, but she stabs him with a silver blade and bites him with silver-capped teeth before she dies.
Suki wakes up in Dr. Ludwig's makeshift hospital to find Claudine knitting in the corner. Dr. Ludwig says that Suki will be fine, which is odd since she's only human, but that Dawson's probably not going to make it, and Bill has silver poison. Oh no.
No.
She's not strong enough to get out of bed on her own, so she and Claudine chat for a while. She's been in a fight recently and is all scraped up, but she's semi-peacefully knitting now, waiting for Brendan to show up. Suki asks what she's knitting, and it turns out to be a baby sweater. Claudine is pregnant.
Aww. Eric arrives not much later and gives Suki lots of his blood, trying to get her well enough to move because Brendan is on his way and Dr. Ludwig is evacuating her facility. Suki tells Eric she called out in her mind for him to come and save her while she was being tortured, but it was Bill who showed up instead. This also was a gut-wrenching few moments. Eric's devastated and tells her he'll explain why he wasn't there later and that she'll understand. Then they go see Bill and Dawson. Bill looks rough and is getting blood from Clancy, that other vampire who doesn't much care for Suki, and Dawson's nearly dead. Unfortunately, Brendan and his evil fairies arrive not too long after. Luckily, Suki somehow still has her purse, and inside it are her iron trowel and water guns she bought and filled with lemon juice.
Love it. The fairies break down the door. Eric and Bill are armed with iron blades, and Suki has her trowel and lemon gun. Brendan is there, and a lady fairy with a mace and some others. They mock Bill and Dawson, and then Clancy is maced in the head. Eric begins fighting and Bill throws his knife. Then Brendan approaches Suki and Bill steps in front of her. Then, with his last bit of strength, Dawson grabs Brendan's shirt. Brendan kills him, but then Bill stabs Brendan with Suki's trowel. He dies surprisingly quickly. Suki sprays another in the face with her lemon gun, and Eric kills her. Then Niall comes in and declares himself the last fairy prince. The fight is over.
Later, Niall comes to visit Suki to say goodbye. He has decided to close the doors to fairy, which is funny because that's what Brendan wanted to do and what the whole fairy war was about anyway. Unfortunately, Claudine didn't survive the fight. And also, unfortunately, Dermot is missing. Hopefully, they'll be able to find him before Niall closes the doors for good. Amelia is distraught about Dawson, and Suki is still mending, but she, Bill, and Eric survived. As Niall leaves, he tells her that she will be safe and that the vampire loves her. But which one is he talking about? Ooh. And
on that revelation...
Oh!
I need a moment.
Take a moment. There's a lot of stuff to process from this book.
What's up, fellow book nerds? It's time to feed your fiction shelf addiction. Hear book club style roundtables, bookish chats, and more. Join Tamara and her friends for fantasy and thriller read-alongs and other shenanigans over on the Shelf Addiction podcast. Listen now on your podcatcher of choice. Subscribe for free, and you too can have a shelf addiction.
Okay, I'm good. Whew.
You better? You processed everything?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
Barely even a little bit,
Yeah, okay.
but we're good. We're good.
Yeah, it's fine.
Professional.
Yeah, we're 100% professional. If I could think of any word to describe us, it would be professional.
It would be. Also, hot diggity.
All right. Just move on. Just move on past that one.
There were moments.
There were so many moments. There was so much in this one. And it was so different. It was so dark and violent.
It definitely took a turn.
I loved it. No one is surprised.
No one is surprised. No. Yeah. I remember this one being very high on the body count.
Yeah.
Not necessarily who the body counts were.
Right.
Because it has been a while.
Yes.
But I do remember it having a high body count because it is the Fairy War book. I think the next one is actually the last one I read. I have that feeling. And then we'll be getting into unknown territory.
That is so exciting. The only thing that I remember from this one, after, the first read through 100 years ago, was what happened at Arlene's house.
Oh, no, actually, that was one of the bits I didn't totally remember.
Yeah, I remembered that Arlene was setting Sookie up and was, they were gonna try to kill her. And I remember that happening. So I was excited when it actually happened. And I remember, it wasn't a false memory. It was actually a thing that happened.
It wasn't that book that we're not still convinced we read ever.
I really don't think
I remembered
we read
Arlene being a complete turncoat and being a garbage person.
Yeah.
But I don't remember the crucifixion.
I didn't
And
necessarily
that
remember
was
the
brutal.
crucifixion, but I remembered that she tried to lure Sookie to her house so so they could try to kill her. I didn't remember the crucifixion bit, but
no, I didn't. I don't remember. I remember the handing them over to the Fellowship bit.
Yeah,
I honestly think I thought it happened sooner, but Arlene. You've spent the entire time knowing she's a horrible person and not Sookie's friend.
Yeah.
And it feels like finally Sookie's realising what a one-sided relationship it was.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for Arlene's kids.
I don't. Because just fuck off. I'm tired of the whole thing. But I had a weird thought while reading this scene. Sookie shares with Arlene some pretty cutting remarks about how Arlene, thinks she's so much better than she actually is, and tells her to look around. Yeah, harsh truths. Tells her to look around this shitty trailer. This is your life, and it ain't getting any better. But Arlene screams at this moment and calls Sookie a witch. And not oh, you're being a bitch, but I'm not going to say bitch. I'm going to call you a witch. She says, you're a witch because I know that they're real and that's what you are. Why would she say that? I really feel like Sookie might have somehow possibly put this vision into her head.
It's very purposeful phrasing, isn't it?
It is. It really, really is. Because Sookie's staring her dead in the face and is look around you, Arlene. This is what your future is. So I really feel like she's made her have some sort of vision or something. Because why else would she scream then and call her a witch?
Hysterical as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a scream a TikTok Karen. It was a hysterical scream. I think you might have a point, and I'm wondering how much Eric's blood is boosting. We know it's having massive physical effects.
Sure.
Glorious hair, perky boobs, good skin.
Yeah.
We know it's having a lot of physical health benefits, but she's not entirely human. Sookie's part fairy, and could Eric's mystical magical vampire blood that she's consumed quite a bit of.
Yeah.
Is that affecting her mental ability?
I don't know, because then I also go back and I'm thinking about this show where at some point she has fairy lights and blows somebody away or something. I don't remember what happens because I've tried to block out those later seasons of True Blood. But I feel like, is that what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of her having this like random ability at some point.
Possibly.
And I'm melding them together.
Potentially, but I also think with any adaptation from book to TV adaptation, the people who make it will have read all the books and potentially got the same inference, or wanted to take it that one step further, knowing that there is the potential there based on X, Y, and Z from the books.
Yeah.
So it's entirely plausible.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if she was able to not just read minds, but put things into people's heads.
Yeah.
And remember, her powers are evolving, they are changing, because she picked up vampire thought.
Yeah, she's picked up vampire thoughts a couple more times since that first time too. And I mean, it's probably because of Eric's 1,000-year-old vampire blood that they've shared so much that he's like, hey, yeah, we gotta stop because we're about to cross a line. Like something's gonna happen if we keep swapping blood. And I'm like, what would it be?
Would it be vampirism or would it just be Renfields?
It could be Renfields, which I really appreciated that conversation that they have, and it makes me think of our short story with Eric, which I haven't read yet, which Eric being obsessed with Dracula.
Yeah. So
that just made me think, like, that's funny. That's going to happen soon, and we're going to get to read that, and I'm excited about it.
I can't wait. Yes, I think, getting back to your main point, I think it feels like there's something there.
It does. It really, really does. I'm glad that you agree, and you don't just think I'm bonkers. I mean, you think I'm bonkers, but, for other reasons.
Well, yeah, exactly. My only, I say problem with it, it's not really a problem with the theory, because I like the theory. It's potentially with the writing. Something like Suki, as we've just mentioned, can now and again pick up vampire thoughts. Mm-hmm. That is something that's only ever put into the story every now and again.
Right.
And at this stage, given the amount of vampire blood she's had with Eric, and given the situation she's been in with Eric, when his guard is down, and her brain is probably very open to all the senses, it hasn't happened again. And it kind of feels like, well, it probably should have, or in some way be mentioned. So it feels like it's one of these tidbits that's forgotten about.
Yeah.
It's appropriate at that point, but it doesn't really,
it's not really that important.
But I do enjoy Charlaine Harris's writing our books. I think she's a very creative person. Mm-hmm. But she's not perfect.
Right. And this is book 9 of 13 plus a million short stories. Stuff's probably going to get lost.
Things are going to get lost, exactly. And things don't get fully put together. And it's like when we talked about the short stories, sometimes an important thing happens there and not in the main series, and it makes you question your own sanity. Like, did I miss something?
Yeah.
Because this leads on nicely to one of the thoughts I had was Octavia.
Yes. What about Octavia?
Bye, Octavia. Don't let the door slam you on the way out. She had such an abrupt exit.
Yeah.
For 2 to 3 books now, at least 2 books, she's been not pivotal, but she's been hovering in the background and just wandered in, done what's necessary, wandered back out again. And it feels like it's got to a point where Charlene's gone, I've got this other person living in Suki's house, but I've also got these fairies and the werewolves and the vampires, and it's just a whole mess that's going on. I don't know what to do with her. What can I do? Her fancy man from New Orleans can come and collect her and we'll just get rid of her.
Yeah, that's
and it was so abrupt.
Yeah.
It was like double take material. It was like it was fleshed out to a couple of paragraphs just to give her that little bit more of a word count time.
Yeah.
before it was like, okay, bye.
I can only imagine that either, since I don't really remember what else happens except for key moments, which we've said this 1,000 times, I don't necessarily remember the storylines that are coming next, but it could either be that she's got too many players on the board and she's got to get rid of some stuff just to clear up space in her head. Or maybe there's got to be some sort of something where Sookie's got to be on her own again. And so you got to get people out of her house. Like, I feel like Octavia's gone. And, I mean, is Amelia going to stay? She's just lost her boyfriend that she really, really liked. Like, you know, maybe it's time for her to leave too. So maybe that's going to happen, and now Sookie's going to be back alone in her house.
Yeah. Possibly. I do not recall. I don't recall at all. But Amelia is one of those characters that's easier to get out of the house because she works, she parties, she has a social life.
Yeah, but maybe she needs
Whereas Octavia wasn't easy to get out of the house.
Right, but maybe Amelia just needs to be gone. She needs to move away, which she, you know, this will be a good time to do it.
Yeah. I mean, it was established that she's got the house in New Orleans, and somebody is looking after it and the rebuild following Katrina.
Yeah.
So there is that potential where she, even if she just has to go back to New Orleans for some reason about the house,
yeah,
that she's gone for a book when something has to happen to her.
Yeah.
So the potential is there. I don't know. I just didn't think it was a clean exit for Octavia. It was
pretty abrupt.
It was abrupt. It was forced in. And I'm fine with her going. I don't mind.
Right.
You know, she can go on, you know, with Lewis in New Orleans. That I'm happy for her. But it was just the way it was just shoehorned in there.
Yeah.
I found a little bit, taken aback with it.
Yeah.
It was a little bit like Claudine's pregnancy as well.
Yeah.
When she's sitting there and she's eating the chicken nuggets or whatever and just really overindulging, you're like, what is Claudine binging? And then I was, oh no, that's right, she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Remembered that.
Yeah. Well, and she's mentioned, like, she walks up and she's wearing an unflatteringly cut suit or something. So you already think something's up. And then she eats entirely too much Chick-fil-A. And then she's like, oh, yeah, I'm pregnant.
Knitting baby sweaters.
Yes.
And then killed. Was it necessary to have Claudine pregnant then? For me, it didn't bring anything to the story.
No.
And it didn't make her death more meaningful because I like Claudine.
Yeah.
Not Claudine being with child. That element brought nothing to the character. It made no difference. I didn't feel... does it seem harsh for me to say I was no more sympathetic to her death because of it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I felt the same way. Like, I liked Claudine enough on her own to be sad that she's not, like, to be sad that she's dead. Everybody doesn't need to be pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, Tara's pregnant now.
It was shoehorned in.
Yeah, Tara's pregnant.
It was completely unnecessary.
Crystal was pregnant. Claudine is pregnant. Like, what? Why? Why is everybody going to be pregnant at the same time?
The only pregnancy that I think is story-wise appropriate is Crystal's, because it gives Jason that out of, well, he wouldn't harm Crystal because she's carrying his baby. And that's important to him, even if his wife's a cheater. He's not going to touch her because he's happy to be a daddy. And I think that's the only one. Tara's, again, whatever. It's the same with Tara's marriage.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever. Are there supposed to be elements to humanise these people, these characters? Because I don't care.
Yeah, I guess it's supposed to show, that Suki is balancing between these two worlds. Her supernatural stuff's going on, and then she's actually, got human friends and human things are happening, but
this is what annoys me, okay? And bear in mind, out of the two of us, I'm the one who is married with child. You're married, that's fine. But
purposefully childless.
Purposefully childless. And I'm going to get on my soapbox and start ranting and raving. You do not need to have children to make your life fulfilled.
Mm-mm.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
And I feel like what's happening here is a very old, boring, dated narrative that to be a fulfilled, and I'm doing air quotes, a fulfilled woman, to have a fulfilled life, you need to be married with children. So is it purposeful that Suki is by herself, not in any particularly stable relationship? She's only with partners who she cannot have children with, Eric. But all of her friends are growing up and they're getting careers. Which ones? Tell me which ones have got the career you should be jealous of. But they're getting married and they're having kids. And it's the getting married and having kids while you're still home, alone. And it feels like it's a very pushed to the front message that is tried and dated, and I hate it.
Yeah.
Because women should be able to make their own choices, whether or not they get married, whether or not they live with a partner, whether or not they have children, whether or not they have children with someone.
Yeah.
Get a cat if you want to have a cat. Have a child if you want to have a child. But it's the woman's choice.
Right.
And I'm getting on my soapbox. I'm going to step off in a second, but don't force it into the story. It really pisses me off, and it pissed me off in this, that it felt like the reason Tara got married and Tara is now pregnant, and why Claudine was made to be pregnant, was purely to show Suki, this is what you could have and this is what you should have to be a human woman.
Yeah.
And it annoyed the life out of me. Because quite frankly, if I was Suki, I would be fucking the life out of Eric. I would be moving in and going, I'm not being a kept woman. I will keep my job at Merlot.
Yeah.
But you better believe I will ride you every night.
Yes. Yes, of course. You had that soapbox moment. And your rage and your anger came out and it was beautiful. I kind of had a similar feel about a different situation that occurred in this book.
Okay, I'm going to step back. There's a soapbox. Please climb up.
I'm probably not going to hang out for quite as long as you did.
Sorry.
But I was really disappointed with Mel and what happened in Hot Shot.
Oh, yes. Thank you for raising this one.
Yes, and it was made slightly better when it's revealed that he's gay and that's why he doesn't live in Hot Shot anymore. And you think, well, he got kicked out because he's gay. Which he did, and it's not okay what happened, but they tried to explain it away. That Calvin said, you can do whatever you want in your home, but you have to have a kid first. Which I get because of the backward ass hotshot inbreeding situation. I get that for the panther side of it. But I hate it that he has to have a child in order to stay in Hot Shot. That is fucking disgusting, and I hate that he got kicked out. And I also hate that they literally ate him because he slapped Crystal. She did not die. He did not kill her.
No.
He even said she wasn't there when I went. I walked away, I was freaked out. I came back and she was gone. So Clearly, you just slapped her. She's bleeding a little bit. She deserved what she got. But you didn't kill her. And then they were like, well, you confessed, so we have to kill you. And he's like, shrug, okay, why?
Makes no sense.
No, it makes no sense at all. I do appreciate, however, again, going back, I do really appreciate that Jason didn't realize that Mel was gay, which is okay. And you got a new friend and you really like him. But then when he finds out that Mel got kicked out of Hotshot because he couldn't produce a child, he looked at Calvin and said, we're okay with that? That's okay to just kick him out because he's gay? Are you sure? So I like that bit of Jason.
Yes.
That he's clearly okay with having a new best friend who's gay. Maybe, probably going to be a little bit uncomfortable later when he's like, oh, but you have a crush on me, and like I'm not reciprocating those feelings. But that didn't happen because he got eaten.
I think Jason would be flattered.
I really think he would. But I do appreciate that he was like, wait, you got kicked out because you're gay? That's like, why?
It's stupid.
It's stupid. But I do...
Especially in the day and age of artificial insemination.
Yeah.
He could just empty into a cup and then they could, it's a bank.
Yeah, they probably have some turkey basters in Hotshot. So you just go and do whatever you need to do and we'll just suck it up and then squirt it back in. And maybe we'll have a baby that way.
Works for everybody. Yeah, it was... So in the end, we don't really know what happened with Crystal fully.
Except we kind of do. Except for the fact that we don't really necessarily know what happened to her, how she met her demise, but we know that the evil fairies that tortured Sookie were the ones who found and crucified her. And they did it just to fuck with Sookie. But
that makes no sense. Because Sookie doesn't give a shit about Crystal. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
There's so much in this book. I feel like this book's Marmite. Excessively British term.
Yeah, it is.
You either love it or hate it.
Right.
Okay, there'll be something in America where the big dispute is you either love it or you hate it. It's got to be a food.
It's probably cilantro.
Okay, cilantro. This book is cilantro or Marmite or whatever the heck you want to call it. Pickles and burgers. That divides people.
Pineapple on pizza?
Yes, this book is pineapple on pizza. You'll either love the bits or you hate it. And there's some bits I absolutely adored. I loved the torture scene, not because Sookie got tortured, but because it made the book go dark.
Yeah, that's me too. Almost those exact same words. Like, I loved that. It was insane and it was really well done. And it was terrifying. And
exactly.
The books have been so fluffy up to this point. And then you're like, holy shit.
The only reason for me is that I think Sookie is going to survive is because of the point of view it's written by. And that's it.
Yeah.
But it was finally a moment where you think, oh shit, Sookie, this might be the end. And you're in book 9.
Yeah.
This could be close to the end of the series.
It could reasonably be the end.
Exactly. And it's like, oh shit. It's like the scene with Arlene. As devastating as it is, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Same with Crystal and the horrible crucifixion. That's ghastly. But actually, it was good.
Yeah.
The scene with Eric in Fantasia and you find out about him being human.
Yes.
Human backstory.
Yes.
Magnificent.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I even appreciated like the way that the coming out occurred, and that Sam's poor mother got shot.
Yeah.
It was horrible, but again, I quite liked it because it was development, it was story, it was interesting, it had a grit. But then there's other things that just don't make any freaking sense and just annoy the life out of me.
Yeah.
Octavia, the LGBTQ ostracization from Hotshot, you know, the Claudine pregnancy aspect. So I felt like it was a pineapple on pizza, where you can pick the bits off some slices, you can't on the other, but you can eat the whole pie.
Yeah.
So you enjoy some of it and you don't enjoy others. So it's like, it was such a tale of two...
Toppings.
Toppings, yeah. Tale of two toppings.
Yeah.
But yeah, and now I really want a pizza.
Yes. Yeah, see, this is something else that I really love about, you know, summarizing these books and sharing them with you, is that when we do it, we pick out all the good parts and tell you those things. So, you know, we leave out the weird and confusing stuff and we put it together in a way that makes it make sense. So I really like doing that, because I really enjoyed this book. But then there were those parts where you're just like, why?
Yeah.
But overall, I really, really liked it.
Oh, definitely. The dark areas really won me over.
That is my kind of story. It's not, it wasn't,
it's not cute.
It's not cute. Yeah.
But then there are those cute moments, like when Eric sends the picture to Suki.
Yes, and then they have that conversation. She's like, do you think I can get this poster size? And he's like, well, you could if you give me one. And like, they're just so cute and adorable, and it's why I love Eric so much. And it's like what Tara said, which I really appreciated their conversation, even though I don't give a fuck that she's pregnant. But she's like, Suki, what's the big deal? You're not actually married in any way that matters to you. But Eric has never hurt you. Everyone else has treated you like shit. Eric has always been good to you. He's made sure you're taken care of. He's made sure your house is good. He's paid you for your jobs that you've done, or made sure that you did get paid when you did complete a job. He's good. So why are you so upset about being knife married to him on accident? Like, he's just doing it literally so Felipe can't take you away and make you work for him in another state. He's just keeping you safe.
It's protection. Exactly. In no legal sense are they married.
No.
I will be happily knife married to Eric.
Yes. Hey, that brings us to Would You Rather. But I got a couple more things I'm going to talk about before we talk about being knife married.
Okay, well, let's talk about them. But I will say, I do like Tara insofar as it's the human relationship she can go to. She is exclusively human. Nothing supernatural about her. And she can talk sense to Suki.
Yeah.
And she's fully aware of everything that's going on. So it's not as if she needs to, like, beat around the bush or try and get the answers that she needs, but in a roundabout way.
Right.
So I do appreciate Tara in that sense. Everything else, not bothered.
Yeah. I know that we said that this book wasn't cute, but there is a couple of cute things that happened, and we mentioned, Eric's story and Eric's naked photograph. But something else that I thought was really, really adorably cute is when Sam shifted in front of everyone. And Arlene yells and runs out and is crazy, and he does the embarrassed doggo pose, and just everyone giggles at him, and that was precious. Because I love Sam. I love Sam so much. Boy. Eric and Sam are just they're right there. I love them both so, so much. And that was just such a good scene. Like, he just covers up his little nose and does a little whimper, like, "Ooh, oh no, she doesn't like me, ooh." So I loved that scene.
I adored it. I really enjoyed the coming out.
Yeah.
I also quite liked the fact that it was then completely ignored, apart from Sam's family. And she's like, "Oh, everything must be going fine." Oh, shit, it's not.
Yeah. I like that she was...
I should have picked up the paper.
Yeah, I love that she's just sat there for a little while and she's like, "Well, I don't have anything to do. Let me just look around and see what's in my car that I can entertain myself with. Oh, here's some newspapers." And that everyone in the newspaper is upset because, you know, shifters are doing good in sports. Like the swimmer whose dad is a SEAL. Like, wait a minute.
Oh, wait a goddamn minute. Do you know what, though? If your husband came out and said, "Oh, by the way, I shift into a werewolf on the full moon," you'd be like, "Honey, you know, that's fine. I'm not great at once a month either."
Right.
But I would have appreciated if you had told me this a while ago. Because, you know, that there's an element of trust in a marriage. But, you know, if your neighbour turned around and said, "Oh, I turn into a were-tiger once a month," you'd be like, "Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Do it.
Do it. Show me." Yeah. Yeah, I get that it doesn't have to be a secret with someone that you share your life with for, 20 years. And like, how do you cover it up for so long? "Oh, I've got to go out for a jog for 3 nights in a row, the same time every month."
Just went into the shop, sweetie. Yeah, not very an observant stepdad.
No.
So, in that regard, I do think that Sam's mom's missed.
Yeah, she's made a little bit of a mistake. And like, what did she turn into that scared him so badly that he had a gun and just shot her?
Yeah.
Did she like turn into a bear and lumber in? Because she's a pure shifter too, like Sam, so she can turn into whatever she wants to. Like,
she doesn't have her wallet Rolodex of animals.
She does
like
not.
Sam does.
She does not have her fold out wallet photo album. All right, I'm gonna go with...
What's gonna be less scary? Pangolin? No. Lion.
Lion, yes.
Yeah, I feel like...
Rattlesnake. Good choice. What did she pick? I'm curious.
Do I feel like a puppy or a gorilla today?
Yeah.
Well, it is the great revelation, so I shall go all out. Giraffe.
Giraffe. Right inside my living room. And like, was just wearing a gun on his holster? Like he just had it on him? Right there?
Sounds that way.
And she
sounds like an open carry
gallops
situation.
into the living room. And he's like, "Oh shit, it's a giraffe." And then she's like, "Oh no, it's me." As her human head reappears on the giraffe neck as she's transforming back into a person. Oh
no! Thank goodness she has the same amount of bones in her neck.
Yes, they're just stretched out.
Yes.
Okay, I got a question for you. It's important, and then we can move on. Or wait, we still have surprises? Who's surprises?
I forgot that Claudine died in this one.
Yeah. I was surprised at Quinn being such a dick.
Oh, God, he was such a dick. I loved Quinn so much.
I know. Me too. I loved him. Loved him so much. And now he's just like...
betrayed.
Yeah. And he's just like, poor pitiful me. Nobody's ever gonna love you, Sookie. Because you gotta be the center of attention. Like, yeah, I kind of deserve that at least once or twice in my life.
It's not even the center of attention. It's the center of... it's the partnership in a relationship as well.
Yeah.
And the difference is... Eric's is a business, Sam's is a business, Bill's is a business. Yours is your mother.
Yeah,
and your
it's your
sister.
crazy family.
It's hella different.
It's not the same. Not the same.
You can't compare. And just because you're hurt and angry doesn't mean that you should travel all that way and give Suki shit.
No. Get over it, dude. She broke up
Be
with
a
you. Fuck
bloody
off.
Man and fuck off.
Be a tiger about it and get out.
And fuck off. Just fuck off.
Just fuck off.
I'm so betrayed.
Yeah.
So betrayed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you there.
Okay, I want to backtrack just one step. If you had to reveal yourself
Ooh.
as a shifter,
Oh, okay.
not your nipples, if you had to reveal yourself as a shifter to your husband who
Before we
didn't
start
know,
recording.
what animal would you choose?
Do you know what you're going to pick?
I mean, I know that my husband really likes cats. So I'd probably be a little kitty cat. Probably just turn into a little kitty cat, do a little prance around. I imagine that I would probably have some sort of markings that you'd be able to kind of tell that it's me, maybe. And then, but I would make sure, I would get some nice good pets, do some purrs, do a rub against your leg, and then I would walk away a safe distance and transform back into myself.
Yeah.
What are you going to pick?
I'm torn between two.
Is one of them a giraffe?
No.
Okay, what?
He really would adore having a puppy. He would love a dog.
Yeah.
Absolutely love a dog. But his favourite animal is a pangolin.
Okay.
So I feel like pangolin, though they aren't as expressive as dogs, I can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do the
Like
nose-covered whimper.
No. So I'll probably do dog, and then when I'm back a human, I can go, I can do anything. Do you want to see pangolin? And he'd be like, oh, yes! Yeah. And I'll be like, okay, pangolin.
Yeah, totally.
And then back to human, I'm going to be like, I'm going to do sloth now, because I love a sloth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Turn into a sloth.
Yeah.
And by this time, totally impressed.
Yeah.
Probably a dog first, and certainly nothing threatening.
Right. You couldn't do that at all, because then you'd get shot. You get shot.
Exactly.
Giraffe shot.
I don't want to be giraffe shot.
Mm-mm.
And then have my neck go.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I think that brings us to Would You Rather. Finally. Pew pew. It's not the nice tie-in that it would have been had we skipped over that conversation.
It was an important conversation to have.
It really
one
was.
I wouldn't mind the listeners contributing to in the comments.
Right. Yes. Or perhaps we can have this conversation in Vampire Book Club. Which,
why not?
sorry everyone. Vampire Book Club has happened before the release of this episode, because that's the way the month turns out. But just know, for next time, if you want to join in on our Vampire Book Club discussions, to join our Patreon, join any tier, you can see this video, watch the whole ridiculous thing, and you can watch it before book club. And then you can join us to chat.
And it's a ridiculously fun time.
It really is. We have such a good time.
I love Vampire Book Club. Speaking of vampires, would you rather be tricked into marrying a vampire or work as a body finder for the FBI? Which is what we asked our social media Would You Rather question.
We did do that. We did.
There you go. Smooth.
It's very smooth.
On Facebook, 70% said vampire. On Instagram, 75% said vampire. On Twitter, 60% said vampire. And on TikTok, undecided 50-50. We have comments, though.
We do have comments.
They're very one-sided comments.
Yes, but we're not surprised.
I encourage it. I encourage any and all comments. Constance on Facebook said, no trick about it, as I said throughout watching The Invitation, I volunteer as tribute.
Yeah, samesies. Vincent on Facebook said, vampires have lived for a very long time, so they've had lots of practice at perfecting their sexual techniques.
Eric is Exhibit A. Drew on Facebook said, it was never a trick. I knew what I was getting into.
Annie on Facebook, all vampires all the time, especially if it's Eric.
Colin on Facebook, I'm not into the whole forced marriage thing, so I'll have to go with Body Finder.
Oh, finally, another response.
Sounds like a fun job to me anyway. I could use my marvellous sense of smell and my network of shady underground contacts to help the FBI out. Sounds like it's a shifter.
It does. Bree on Facebook says, screw the office job and power suits. I'm embracing the fangs and becoming a kept woman at Fantasia. Bring on the black and fishnets.
Ooh, I've got fishnets.
Me too.
Eric Fenn on Instagram said, definitely tricked into marrying a vampire. I think I'd trust them more.
Yeah, I could see that. L20Kev on Instagram says, definitely a body finder. I'd hate to be trying to iron all their frilly shirts all day. This is presuming all vampires dress like Lestat.
At least once.
They do. At least once in their lives. And it depends on where you live in the world, too. I feel like you got some more classic vampires in, the European Union.
I think Lestat is very Americanized, even though he's not French. But Dracula is the European stereotype.
Yeah.
So you're either going to go frilly shirts or you're going to go cape.
Right. That's a lot of ironing either way.
This is why you send it out.
Right.
Or get a housekeeper. Can you honestly imagine a vampire? Do you think Eric, for 1 second, has ever plugged an iron in, never mind used one?
No, that's why he's got day guys.
Exactly. You got loads of responses from the library.
There were so many library comments this time. I was not expecting it at all.
Yes. There was loads. There was one that said, I am literally never going to not pick vampire if that's an option. To which I read it and went, Amanda, stop answering the would you rathers.
That's funny because that is exactly my answer, and it's exactly your answer too. Exactly.
We can bypass our responses because everybody knows what we're going to say.
We will never not pick vampire. Someone else said, I'm down to dig up some dead bodies. And I'm okay with that. There's so many good ones. I always wanted to wear a black wedding dress. Guess I'm marrying a vamp. What else? I choose vampire. Marrying a vampire seems like a great life to live. Who cares if he owns me? And what if I am a vampire? Can I still work if everyone finds out? Asking for a friend. Who is a vampire at my library? And why am
Please, step forward and bite.
Yes.
Volunteer as tribute.
Yes. Yes, all vampires all the time. I was really pleased that we had so many responses. So many. It's good. All right, let's move on, because we know that our answer is all vampires all the time.
It's mute.
Would you rather find out someone you've known forever is fine with sacrificing you and has set it up for you to be murdered, or be unlife-threateningly shot by your significant other because they found out a secret about you.
I don't think I would like somebody to be very easily and willingly able to cross that moral boundary of sacrificing me.
Right.
It feels extreme.
It does. Yeah, it does.
So I'm going to go with the unlife-threatening shot by a significant other because they found out a secret about you.
Especially if it's a secret that you're a giraffe.
Yes, if I'm a secret giraffe and I get shot, it's not on me, it's on you.
Right.
But,
and, like,
yeah.
You're going to heal quickly probably anyway, so...
That's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Would you rather have one sexy poster of Eric or have a small calendar with multiple shots of Eric? I feel like the one sexy poster of Eric is probably more explicit, while the multiple shots are probably, more safe porn.
Yeah.
Not everything's exposed.
Right. I think that's probably what I'm going to go with is the calendar. I'm going to go with the calendar with the multiple shots. Because also, like, what if someone, and you're not comfortable with it, what if someone walks in and is like, hey, what's that vampire dick poster you have on your wall? And you're like, oops, I have a vampire dick poster on my wall. Whereas with the calendar, you can be like, oh, I've got this sexy calendar. Let me just put it under my pillow where nobody knows that it exists. Whereas if you have a giant vampire dick on your wall, people are going to know about it. And they might steal it. They might steal your poster.
That is a concern. That is a concern. The other concern is, like, how intimidatingly present the crotch area would be. Like, if you put that poster on the wall, is it going to be constant penis at eye level?
I mean, probably.
Because, it gets to a point where you're like, actually, I need to move it down a bit. Let's have a bit more of an eye contact thing going on.
Yeah.
I mean, he's super tall as well, so I can only imagine it would be a life size.
Yeah. What if it was a cutout, a cardboard cutout?
Oh my god, that would be hilarious. That would be so funny. Can I have the cardboard cutout?
Yes.
And then I could just put it in the window where it's like, oh, they've got the sexy vampire over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like there's more tomfoolery can be involved in a cardboard cutout. But if I can only pick between the poster and the calendar, I'm picking the calendar. But, yeah.
You would take a cardboard cutout. 100%. Because then you could, like, put
100%
it... You could put it on a little train track and Home Alone it around your living room.
Totally. If you're not Home Aloneing a cardboard cutout, you're really living.
You're really not. Not at all.
I can imagine as well, you've got the poster on your wall, and you're like, oh, I'm going to take a selfie. And you take the cutest selfie, post it all over your socials, going, feeling cute today, have to share it. But you forget that there's a giant vampire cock behind your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, like, your mum sees it on socials.
Yeah.
My mum is not on socials, so we're fine.
Yeah.
But that's like, you don't need to share that,
Yeah.
You there's some things you do not post on your Insta.
Yeah, and dick pics is one of them.
Yes. PSA, don't send dick pics.
Don't send dick pics. Don't do it. All right. It's time for our secret Would You Rathers.
Dum dum dum. Drum roll, please.
Would you rather be eaten to death because you slapped a skanky panther, or die because you were squirted directly in the eye with lemon juice and then somebody troweled you?
I don't want to be eaten, but I do want to slap the skanky panther. Damn it.
I know.
So I'm going to go...
And either way, you're going to die. So you have to choose.
Do you know what? I'm going to go with the lemon juice and the trowel, but then I'm going to turn it and I'm going to Pee Wee Herman that shit out of that death scene a la Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Of course.
Like, in the movie.
Yes, of course.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna draw it out all through the credits.
Yes, of course.
So I'm gonna go for lemon juice and trowel.
Okay. I think that's what I'm going to go with, too. Not that I want to get lemon juiced directly into my open eye, but I feel like it will be a quicker death than being eaten by my friends and family.
Exactly.
And they're not probably going to be happy about it. They're like, oh, I don't want to do this. It's so delicious.
So sassy. Pass the salt.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that to my family.
And ultimately, you are going to get pooped out. There's no respect in that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, can we slap the skanky panther before the lemon juice in the eye incident?
Yeah, can we just slap the skanky panther and run?
Yeah. We need to start with... Yes. Yes. I love that. Yes. Needs to happen. Right. My would you rather. Would you rather be fatally weak to lemon juice, to iron, or to Eric's butt?
None of the above.
You have to choose your fatal weakness.
Fatal weakness. I feel like it would probably be the easiest to avoid the lemon juice. You know, that's just like an allergy. Like, I'm allergic to mango, so I don't eat mango. So, you know, if I'm fatally weak to lemon juice, well, then I don't eat a lemon. Iron is, like, how do you 100% know what's made of iron? Everything is...
That's a really difficult one.
Tough.
Plus, you know, I love my iron pot.
Yeah, I love my cast iron skillet. It's the best thing that I have in my house to cook with. And then finally, I couldn't not constantly squeeze Eric's butt if I were around it. Like that's a thing that I do. I am a tushy squeezer.
Same.
Yeah, so I wouldn't.
It's deeply satisfying.
Yeah, just give it a squeeze. I also like to give a pat.
Yes.
Yeah. So I couldn't not do that to Eric's butt if Eric's butt were involved. So I gotta go lemons.
It's a fatal weakness. Eric's butt's there.
Yeah, I can't. Like if it was just like one squeeze, and then while you're squeezing the butt cheek, your heart is also getting squozen to death. I couldn't do it. So I'm gonna be fatally weak to lemons, to lemon juice.
I am going to join you with that. It's the easiest one to consciously avoid.
Right.
I don't want to avoid Eric's butt.
Yeah, and it's too difficult to avoid iron.
Exactly.
But lemons are easy. I mean, it is kind of sad if I had to give up lemons because, like...
Lemon drizzle cake, lemon pancakes.
Yeah, and like lemon-flavored candies are one of my favorite types of candies is lemon. Like, and that's probably not, it's not real lemon. I could probably get away with eating it, but still.
Sticky lemon chicken from the Chinese takeaway. Oh, lemon juice, and it's just a squeeze of that into some creamy pasta.
Right? Yeah, but you could give up your squeeze of lemon in your pasta instead of a squeeze of Eric's butt.
Exactly, and it means I can still use my cast iron cookware to make said delicious dishes.
Right.
Minus the lemon.
Right, yeah, just leave off the lemon.
Exactly. Okay.
Easy choice.
Easy peasy.
Lemon squeezy.
Eric's butt squeezy. Eric's butt squeezy.
Oh, that was perfection. All right. Favorite final thought quote. What you got?
I'm going to give you a couple.
Okay.
You can misinterpret every mental cue you get if you don't understand where it's coming from.
Oh. Yeah. That's a good one.
And also, fucking fairies.
Fucking fairies. I like that too because that was Eric. That was an Eric quote. And Sookie's like, I don't think I've ever heard him cuss before. And now I want to go back and research.
Are we going to get an Eric cuss?
Maybe.
Now?
We might, unless this is
That's
accurate. But I don't know. I feel like that can't be accurate. Do you have any others?
I feel like I need to do this one just based on the would you rather I posed. Darling, you can kneel my ass anytime.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I pass the quotations over to you.
Okay. I only say this one, not because I want to do it, but because it sounds exactly like something that I would say. I would think of Eric and feel the warm rush of joy. And then think of Eric and want to punch him in the face. I really enjoy thinking about punching people in the face. A lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Something about putting my underwear on makes me feel more capable.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Yeah. I added to my mental list of the odd things I'd done that day. I'd entertained the police, sunbathed, visited at a mall with some fairies, weeded, and killed someone. Now it was powdered corpse removal time, and the day wasn't over yet.
Oh, Suki. She just has a day constantly.
Yeah. I think that's all. I think that's all for me.
Nice. Oh, that was good.
Right.
That was very, very good.
If you liked this, try this.
I am going to recommend, it's a middle grade book.
Ooh, okay.
It's a graphic novel.
All right.
I saw it when I was looking for things for my son, actually. And I was like, ooh, this looks really interesting. And also seems very appropriate-ish for this week's recommendation. Okay. So I'm going to recommend it. I haven't read it, but it looks really good. And I think it's like 4 stars on Goodreads or something like that. And it's called The City on the Other Side. And it's by Marguerite Scott, who's the author, and illustrated by Robin Robinson. When a wealthy and sheltered young girl stumbles into a pitched war between 2 fairy kingdoms, the fate of San Francisco itself hangs in the balance. The first decade of the 20th century is coming to a close, and San Francisco is still recovering from the great earthquake of 1906. Isabel watched the destruction safely from her window, sheltered within her high society world. Isabel isn't the kind of girl who goes on adventures, but that all changes when she stumbles through the invisible barrier that separates the human world from the fairy world. She quickly finds herself caught up in an age-old war and fighting on the side of the Seelie, the good fairies.
Oh, okay.
So I thought it was quite a nice introduction to the different courts. I also like the fact it's set in San Francisco in the early 1900s.
Right, yeah, that's very interesting.
I quite liked it. It appealed to me on multiple levels, and it's got a fairy war, so it fits in with this episode.
Yeah.
What have you got?
All right. I'm going to suggest one that I found. I'm pretty sure that I found this one in amongst our new and indie spotlight suggestions that we get. This one is one that we got in an email from NetGalley. It's called Memories, Lies, and Other Binds by Katie Foraker, and it comes out October 4th, so very, very soon.
Ooh.
Zoe Prescott doesn't age, which gives the bookish demonologist plenty of time to focus on her work at the Research Institute of Demonic Entities and Rarities, or RIDER. She's also there to figure out why she stopped aging at 22, even though the mind-bending hypnotherapy sessions to help her remember seem to cause more harm than good. When a serial killer targeting powerful witches emerges, Zoe ignores her colleagues' advice not to hunt for the murderous vampire responsible, who unfortunately happens to be her brother. Ryder won't let Zoe slide a stake into her vile sibling's heart alone. She joins her ex, who dumped her for a mortal, and no, she's still not over it, and a fledgling witch who could be the killer's next victim. But when her brother claims he's innocent, and that a larger threat is about to shake both the human and supernatural worlds, Zoe becomes caught in a dangerous game of truth and lies. Can Zoe choose the right side before a twisted conspiracy stains her soul?
Ooh.
So, witch friend, innocent brother, those are my ties. Also vampire?
Yes.
And, what else? Oh,
it's getting really hard to do vampire tie-ins, by the way.
It is. Also, the larger threat that is about to shake the world. Fairy War. That's my tie-ins.
Do we have a spotlight this week?
We do. We have a new and indie spotlight this week, and this one is another one that is new. It's not out yet. It comes out in January. This one is called Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. Out in January. Cambridge professor Emily Wilde is good at many things. She is the foremost expert on the study of fairies. She is a genius scholar and a meticulous researcher who is writing the world's first encyclopedia of fairy lore. But Emily Wilde is not good at people. She could never make small talk at a party or even get invited to one. And she prefers the company of her books, her dog, and the fair folk to other people. So, when she arrives in the hardscrabble village of Hrafsnick, Emily has no intention of befriending the gruff townsfolk, nor does she care to spend time with another new arrival, her dashing and insufferably handsome academic rival, Wendell Bambleby, who manages to charm the townsfolk, get in the middle of Emily's research, and utterly confound and frustrate her. But as Emily gets closer and closer to uncovering the secrets of the Hidden Ones, the most elusive of all fairies, lurking in the shadowy forest outside the town, she also finds herself on the trail of another mystery. Who is Wendell Bambleby, and what does he really want? To find the answer, she'll have to unlock the greatest mystery of all. Her own heart.
I'm sorry, but with a name like that, he is a fairy.
He's gotta be. Whose name is Bambleby?
If he's not a fairy, then he's aristocracy.
Yeah. He's fancy.
You know?
He's fancy either way.
He has jumpers.
You're right. He does.
He drinks only bespoke gin.
Everything about him is bespoke.
He plays polo on horseback. And vacations in the Cotswolds.
He does. He's very elegant.
Or he's a fairy.
Or he's a fairy. His name is Wendell Bambleby.
I love it, by the way. It sounds fun.
I know. It does sound really fun.
She sounds relatable, actually.
Right? She only prefers her books and her dog. Like, that is... If it were a cat, that's me.
Well, every time you see the word dog, just replace it with cat.
Yeah. And, like, she doesn't get invited to parties. Me.
No.
So I think it sounds like a lot of fun. And it comes out in January. And I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
Nice.
All right. So that's it for this episode of Fictional Hangover. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Claire.
Join us next time. Whoa. As we
So excited.
Start season 5? 5? Holy shit.
5. Count it. 5.
4 full years of podcasting. 3 full years of podcasting for you. That's huge.
Insane.
I can't handle it. It makes me a little queasy to think about, honestly.
I thought I'd be done after 6 months.
Yeah.
You'd be like, sling your hook, Claire. You're rubbish.
Nope.
Do it.
Nope. You're my best friend. I would never get rid of you. Anyway, join us next time as we discuss Mina and the Slayers by and with Amy McCaw. Yay!
I have it right here.
Look out for our Would You Rather polls on social media. Don't forget about our book club and monthly challenges on Facebook. Be sure to visit our shop on Redbubble at fictionalhangover.redbubble.com for all your favorite Fictional Hangover themed merchandise. And become a patron of ours on Patreon at patreon.com/fictionalhangover. Until next time, remember, the only cure for a fictional hangover is another book.
You can find us at fictionalhangover.com, follow us on Instagram at fictionalhangover, find us on Facebook at facebook.com/fictionalhangover, and on Twitter at fictionalhangover, no ER. If you'd like this episode, check out our others and rate, review and subscribe so you don't miss out. And finally, special thanks to Liz Emerson for our music. You can find her on Facebook and Patreon. Thanks for listening.